Hey everybody, it's the Nitty Professor here. Hope you're having a great day. Been a busy semester for me, teaching an overload, taking a graduate course, lots of stuff going on, very active election season, all that good stuff. Sometimes it's knitting's job to be mindless so that it can get us through the rough patches, and that's what we want to talk about today. So I'll start off with a project I just began. I just had this feeling the other day. I was like, I got this big concert coming, I've got solos to play, there's just stuff going on, you know, and I love knitting and I really enjoyed the color sweater, but there's sometimes when I just want to sit down with my knitting needles and just knit and not have to think about anything. Just be able to do it without even looking at it. So I got out this big old giant hank of rainbow yarn and I balled it up. Of course, that was Mindless Act number 1. Only trick is how to do that with a cat on your lap, because that happens a lot around here. But then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do a tube scarf. Just gonna get out my circular needle, just knit in a circle and keep knitting until it's long enough to wear as a scarf. So that's where this project is. So this is just going around and around, stockinette stitch. And I used some stitch markers on the bottom to just kind of hold it together, because of course it's stockinette, so it wants to, curl down there. But I'll probably add a fringe, but isn't that fun? I mean, it just makes me happy to just watch this yarn pool however it's gonna, and it's really interesting. I think by the time I've got a 4-foot scarf here, it's gonna be gorgeous. And this is a lovely wool. I'm sure it's superwash, but it's from a small indie dyer, and I bought it at a fiber fair up in Fargo. So this is just whenever I need to just relax and just knit to knit, not thinking about increases for a sleeve or decreases or following a chart or any of that stuff. I'll just knit, just mindless, just go around in circles, circles. I mean, it's incredibly satisfying to do that. So I've always had at least some kind of a project just sort of, lying in wait, ready to grab. And there's one I actually got out that I haven't worked on in quite a while, partly because I'm the queen of whips. Let's just be honest. But when I was first starting to knit, I grabbed this book. I think I found it at some kind of a sale. In fact, let's look at when it was published. In the meantime, Kay and Ann. So this is by Kay Gardner and Ann Shane. They've changed their name. They kept the initials MD, but they got away from Mason-Dixon because they no longer found that name to be appropriate. However, this was back in 2006, so 18 years ago. In spite of the title and all that, this is a really, really good, very entertaining, very engaging book. And I discovered this section in here. You're probably already familiar with this. It's probably been around, but it's called Log Cabin Knitting. The One True Faith. And they have some really interesting results. Let me see if I can get some of these in front of the camera for you to look at. Lots of blankets. That one's really cute. It's a great way to make really any kind of blanket. I was going to say baby blanket, but look at the things that you can do with this whole idea of log cabin knitting. It's you can make some very stunning projects. I got some patterns wanting to fall out of here. Here's another one that's really colorful. Looks really fun to make. There are a lot of ways to go about this. Stockinette, garter with ridges without. Here's a pattern for, it's called the Blanket of Many Colors. So you can do a rainbow effect. And I guess this says on the bottom, it's a mini example of that. A mini example. Really beautiful. And these are clearly stockinette. Well, maybe not. No, I think that's garter stitch. That is garter stitch. This one's probably garter stitch too. Gorgeous with just blues. I mean, you can make a queen size bedspread using this technique. And I looked up some information on log cabin knitting in the internet and YouTube. Here's another example. Bathroom rug. You can do any thickness of yarn, any weight, any kind of yarn. I think most of these are knit with cotton, and that's what I chose to do. Here's another one. Beautiful colors. And here the blocks are chosen a little bit randomly. And here's a full bedspread. So this is the kind of thing, I mean, you could knit your whole life doing these log cabin patterns. Here's one that's heavy gauge for a bath mat. I think it'd be really neat to make something like that. I could see having that in my bathroom. Polo shirt patchwork blanket. And here's another one. It's all one color, but the textures really pop with the way that the blocks are oriented at right angles towards each other. So that's where I got the idea for what I'm about to show you, which is a mindless project. Well, fairly mindless, more or less mindless. And I'll just show you my start. Like I say, I haven't worked on this in quite a while, probably upwards of a year. But here we go. So I'll just kind of give you a peek. I got this yarn in the way here. Let me move that out of the way. There we go. Just kind of get it going across the screen for you. So lots of fun colors. This is all cotton yarn. I'm a big fan of cotton when it comes to a blanket. A cotton blanket to me is a lot like having a weighted blanket. It's definitely heavier as a fiber to knit with than wool. Of course, another advantage of it, especially, you know, depending on the cotton you get, it's you know, absorbent, and it's somehow cool. It has just a lot of wonderful properties that make cotton the really popular fiber than it is, and I really enjoyed picking out these colors. So most of this yarn is just the peaches and cream, and they sell this at Walmart, and it's, you know, it's probably $3 or $4 for a ball like this. This is 70 grams, so it's somewhere between 50 and 100. And I bought this big cone of it because at some point the rectangles on the blanket, they're going to get super big, super long, and it's going to take more than a skein of yarn. So I think this will make a fun, actually kind of goes with this green. And I'm not really picking the yarns based on, ooh, it's going to line up and be harmonious. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to knit some pink. I just worked on a row. This is gray. And we have some multicolor. So I just have picked colors. By now I've bought, you know, several balls of cotton that are sort of waiting in line to be a part of this blanket. So just whatever makes me happy, you know. I mean, if I'm in the right mood, I could just knit with gray. If I'm in a different mood, I could finish the gray and I could go on to, you know, periwinkle or lilac or multicolored or, you know, speckled. So it's whatever I want to do. And working on a project like this that is warm on your lap and is comfortable to hold, you know, the soft cotton, it has a kind of mindless beauty to it that sometimes that's exactly what I need from knitting. I need to have my mind taken away from thoughts of, you know, the challenges that my kids are facing as they try to carve an economic path for themselves, the challenges of teaching my students who can just use Google Translate to do their homework for them. I don't want to think about that. I just want to mindlessly, you know, knit, maybe watch some football or a Christmas movie, for example, or a knitting podcast, etc. So I'd be curious to know if you have mindless projects like this, if you've tried log cabin knitting, or rainbow knitting, or, you know, tube scars, or what's your go-to as far as, you know, just a really easy project that kind of just gets you through the final hours of the day, puts you in a meditative mood so that you can sleep well and get up the next morning energized and ready to make good trouble. So I look forward to hearing from you, and hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and maybe take a look at the Mason-Dixon knitting, even though it's a little passé with the title, which the authors admitted the content of this book is great. It's very entertaining, and I highly recommend it, apart from the Mason-Dixon part. So on that note, y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.